YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage back, and I am here with another online battle replay. This time it'll be me playing as Odrysian Kingdom versus Rome. So I brought obviously a pretty heavy core of Odrysian Thracian nobles, sorry. And it's because I know that these guys can deal with any Roman infantry that they want to throw at me, and then I've intermixed them with Thracian warriors. So you can see here, intermixing the two, you can drag their unit cards to where they're intermixed, and then right-click and drag them, and they'll come out in that formation. So I've got excellent morale support all across my infantry line, extending clear out to my flanks. So that means that Thracian nobles are not only very powerful, but that encourage aura is dropping in on the units that could otherwise be a little bit trickier to use, like these mercenary Thracian warriors. On my flanks, I have over here 2 Thracian horsemen and 1 Thracian royal cav, and then on this flank I have another Thracian royal cav and another Thracian horseman. So you can see my opponent here brought some, an infantry-heavy Roman army, which I would never recommend against the Odrysians. The Odrysians don't really have very good skirmishers. They have good infantry. They have some decent cavalry with these Thracian royals, but again, their cavalry is going to be mediocre compared to most factions, so it's not something I would recommend. If you're going to come as Rome versus these factions, see he's got these spearmen here, Vigiles and Triarii. Don't do that. Bring skirmishers, bring lots of cavalry, because they're going to do better against the Thracian-type tribes. And you should have an easy enough time protecting them, again, because Thracian cavalry is somewhat limited in its capability. So here we go. My army is a rush army. My opponent did not bring a very substantial number of missiles. He's got some levies, equites, auxiliary Syrian archers, and velites. So he's got a couple of javelin units and one bow unit. So not really enough to blunt a heavy infantry charge. And you can see all my caped men here moving forward. I've got all these guys grouped into a hard group. I usually do this whenever I'm going to do an infantry rush. I don't have to micromanage each individual attack order. Sometimes it works out good. Sometimes it doesn't work out so good. That's part of trusting your fate to the AI, but it's definitely a worthwhile venture. You can see my Thracians moving forward, getting ready to bring in the infantry charge. My opponent's going to come out and just straight up oppose me. There you can see my men slowly engaging. I've used I think I've used an attack order here with the AI attack order. I may not have. The Saki Hastati getting destroyed on the charge. Another Hastati unit. Gonna countercharge this Praetorian with this Thracian warrior from the flank. That's gonna be a fantastic gambit for me. Yeah, we're gonna mop up a bunch of Praetorians there. Yeah, that Praetorian unit's getting shredded by a much cheaper unit. So you can see my infantry line immediately causing him serious trouble. And then I get to his skirmishers with my Thracian horsemen, and then just stay away from his infantry. Over here I've had to engage his legionary cav, which is going to go okay for me. And then up here I had to engage his Praetorian cav, which is probably not going to go so okay for me. So again, if the Roman would have brought more cavalry and skirmishers, then he would have avoided this, which is an infantry collapse in the center, because his men are just going to get hammered on by my heavy Thracian infantry. So do not ever go head-to-head with the Thracians in an infantry engagement, unless you're in a pike box. Then you might be able to stop them. But yeah, it's not a good idea, and you can see why here. Now that his skirmishers are gone, he's really got nothing. His cavalry is too beat up to affect the battle. He's using flaming javelins here from both these units, which does hurt my morale, but it's not enough. Like, the flaming javelins are best used whenever the enemy morale is already wavering, not once not when the enemy's winning the morale engagement, basically, because you're going to hurt your own units with that as well. So if your morale is looking good and enemy morale is starting to waver, then it's good to use the flaming javelins, because it does have a pretty substantial impact. But his flaming javelins here would have been better used as just standard javelins, because he would have actually gotten quite a few kills with these velites and these auxiliary Numidians. He doesn't have enough men left to pull this off, but it would have been better. Look, here's a full-on Praetorian guard taking an already engaged Thracian noble. Look at this Thracian noble. Let's see, Praetorian guard dropping rapidly. Yeah, look at that, just what these guys can do. Praetorian Guard were never one of the best sword units in the game. They can certainly beast their way through certain types of infantry quite well, But a Thracian noble is not one of those types of infantry, especially if you're trying to pull out to go to another engagement. You're just going to get beat up even worse. So my opponent's trying to get through to another engagement, and my Thracian nobles are just going to keep hacking them to pieces. And then Thracians charging down these Vigiles too. It's going to be a fight that these guys really don't want to be involved in. So yep, the Roman at this point just getting finished, getting wrapped up. So I think the important lesson here, when you know that a faction has a particular strength, don't play to it. So the Thracians have an infantry advantage over pretty much anybody. The only thing that can stop Thracian nobles head-on are pikes, period. End of story. That's the only way to do it. When it's talking about infantry on infantry. I'm not talking about with missiles or cavalry, I'm talking about infantry on infantry. The only way to stop a Thracian noble is with a pike unit. And that's only if it's head-on. So don't do what my opponent did here, which was came to a battle where, and I'm not trying to bash on my opponent, I'm just using this as an object lesson. I showed you battles where there's plenty of things I shouldn't have done. So obviously I've got a lot of stuff to clean up on my own. But in this case, I just really think that it illustrates the example of don't play to the strength of your enemy. If my opponent would have brought more cavalry here, I would have had a very hard time defeating him. Because his cavalry could charge my Thracian nobles, get kills, pull out, and come back and repeat. And then I wouldn't have been able to get to his skirmishers if he had more cavalry either, because I only had a limited number of cavalry and they were only so good. So I just think that you've got to make sure you build your army ready to face what it is that you're going to face. So in this case, Roman brought a little too much infantry to face off with Thracians. Hope you all enjoyed this. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.